Restoration is more than a promise. It's the heartbeat of God's love reaching into the broken places of your life. Whether you feel wounded by past mistakes, drained by disappointment, or diminished by weariness, today's message is clear. You're being restored. God isn't merely patching your wounds. He's renewing your strength, reviving your purpose, and re-establishing the joy that once defined you. Let's explore how this divine restoration works, what it looks like in Scripture, and how you can embrace God's restorative power right now. The nature of spiritual restoration. Spiritual restoration involves God bringing order, healing, and purpose back into areas of your life that have become chaotic, hurtful, or stagnant. Unlike a quick fix, restoration is a holistic process, healing the heart. God addresses emotional wounds, betrayal, regret, shame, so your inner life reflects His peace. Renewing the mind. Through Scripture and prayer, God replaces lies and negative thought patterns with truth and hope. Rekindling passion. He revives dreams and callings you thought were lost, igniting fresh zeal for serving Him and others. Relationships. God mends broken connections, family rifts, friendships, and even our relationship with Him, so they reflect His love. Scripture often uses the imagery of physical restoration, repairing walls, reviving dry bones, to paint the picture of God's restorative work in our souls. This multidimensional process reminds us that God's restorative touch reaches every part of our being. Biblical foundations for restoration. Old Testament illustrations. Job's restoration. After profound loss and suffering, God restored Job's fortunes twice as much as he had before. His story shows that restoration can exceed what was lost. Israel's return. Despite exile and hardship, Israel was brought back to the land God promised, demonstrating His faithfulness to covenant restoration. David's renewal. In Psalm 51, David pleads for a steadfast spirit, and God grants him restoration of joy and fellowship. New Testament promises. Grace for the weak. Paul writes, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Even our vulnerabilities become launchpads for restoration. Born again transformation. Through Christ, believers become a new creation, signifying that restoration begins with new identity in Him. Living water. Jesus invites the weary to drink from Him, promising rivers of living water that flow from within, a metaphor for ongoing restorative life. These passages assure us that restoration is neither occasional nor conditional. It is integral to God's character and plan for every believer. How restoration unfolds in your life. Acknowledgement and surrender. The first step is admitting where you're broken and surrendering that pain to God. In Psalm 34:18, we read, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." When you lay your wounds before God, you open the door for His healing light. Immersion in His Word. Scripture is both the source and means of restoration. Meditate on promises like, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you." Allow these truths to saturate your mind, replacing doubt with confidence in His restorative power. Prayer and worship. Prayer isn't just petition, it's communion. Pour out your heart in honest conversation with God. Then, lift your voice in worship. Worship reorients your focus from problems to His presence, creating space for restoration to flow. Community and accountability. God often uses others to facilitate restoration. Share your journey with trusted friends or mentors who can pray with you, speak truth into your life, and remind you of God's promises when you forget. Active obedience. As restoration takes root, respond by obeying God's guidance. Let restored areas fuel fresh acts of service, generosity, and faith. Each step of obedience cements the work God has begun in you. Overcoming obstacles to restoration. Fear of relapse. You may worry that once healed, you'll fall back into old patterns. Remember, God's power doesn't ebb. His Spirit within you continually paves the way for lasting change. Impatience with the process. Restoration often takes time. Like the seasons, God's timing unfolds in phases. Trust Him when you feel stalled. He is working behind the scenes, even when you can't see progress. Comparing journeys. Your restoration path is unique. Avoid comparing your timeline or experiences with others. God customizes His restorative work to fit your story and purpose. Shame and unworthiness. Shame tells you that you don't deserve restoration, but grace says you're loved beyond measure. God's mercy overrides your failures. Cling to that truth. Real-life testimonies of restoration, from addiction to advocacy. Jane lost everything to substance abuse. After surrendering in prayer and baptizing her life in Scripture, God delivered her from addiction and called her to lead recovery groups. Today she mentors dozens, her story a living testament to God's redemptive restoration. Renewal. Mark and Lisa stood on the brink of divorce due to betrayal and bitterness. Through counseling, prayer, and a commitment to God's principles of forgiveness, they rebuilt trust and now serve together in ministry, stronger than before. After corporate failure, Alex felt worthless, yet God opened unexpected doors in a nonprofit, restoring not only his career, but also his passion for serving the community. Practical steps to embrace restoration today. Journal your journey. Write down areas you need God to restore: relationships, health, purpose. Release them in prayer, then note any shifts you observe. Memorize key verses. Choose 2 to 3 restoration promises and recite them daily. Establish a restoration ritual. Perhaps a weekly Sabbath hour to focus solely on worship and reflection, allowing God's restorative presence to refresh your soul. Serve others. Restoration often deepens when we shift focus outward. Volunteer, comfort the hurting, or simply listen to someone else's struggles. Celebrate milestones. Acknowledge and rejoice over every sign of restoration. A tear dried, a relationship mended, a fear overcome. Celebrating reinforces your faith in God's continued work. Living as a restored people. Once restored, you become a beacon of hope to others. Your story of renewal isn't just personal, it's prophetic, pointing to God's power to heal nations, communities, and lives. As you walk in restoration, acknowledge grace freely. Just as you've been forgiven and restored, be quick to forgive and restore others. Speak words of life. Encourage those still in brokenness with the language of restoration. God is making a way. He will heal you. You're not beyond redemption. Bear witness. Share your journey on social media, in small groups, or one-on-one conversations. Your testimony fuels faith in those who haven't yet experienced God's restorative touch. Restoration isn't a distant dream. It's God's ongoing offer to every heart that calls on Him. You may carry scars, but those scars have become signposts of His mercy and power. God isn't just fixing what's broken. He's fashioning something more beautiful than what was lost. As you embrace His restorative grace today, Expect joy to return, strength to rise, and purpose to be renewed. You're being restored. Hold fast to that promise, for the best chapters of your story are yet to unfold.